What the fuck is up, guys? How you guys doing? It's a Monday night. I don't usually stream live on Monday night, but I could not pass up the occasion to talk to my good friend Heidi Briones live and in conversation. This is going to be great. She's a really awesome person, a writer. I interact with her all the time on the internet, and now we get to actually have like a real life discussion, and I get to interview her and tell her what tell you guys what she's about, and she can tell what she's about as well. Before I bring her up on the stage, I wanted to let everyone know that has been watching and keeping up with all of my health updates that I have fantastic news. So as you guys know, I've been waiting for surgery. In March 20th was the original date, but I was at the top of the cancellation list. And I got the call this morning that somebody canceled. So I'm actually going in for surgery this Wednesday. And this thing's going to be cut the fuck out, and it's going to be awesome. Get to start recovery a lot sooner than I thought. I'm stoked about this. This is going to be great. And hopefully I come out with a really sick like battle scar, and I can show it off for all you guys. But anyways, I'm going to bring up my good friend Heidi. Heidi, what's up?
What's up, Ben? How's it going?
I'm
Good
doing
news.
well. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
honestly like I'm really excited. I'm really happy. I have been like legitimately just like stressed out for months. And I didn't want to wait till March for this shit. So, I mean, it got moved up. I wasn't expecting it, but I was hoping it would be. And then it just like happened. I was literally just like hypothetically talking about it this weekend. And then all of a sudden it came to fruition. So now here we are.
That's amazing. Well, I'm glad. I hope you have a speedy recovery.
My episode was gay as hell. What do you mean? In response to Justin said, finally a gay episode. Jilted Valkyrie was awesome on my show too the other week.
Yes.
And then Justin opens up with, tell Heidi she needs to join the Emo Caucus chat. Are you emailing to join the Emo Caucus Signal group chat?
I don't know. I don't think I can handle any more group chats in my life, though. I'm like,
well, I mean, the point of this one is to make you cry, though. So, like, if that's the vibe you're going for,
I'm already crying all the time, so it doesn't. It's not necessary.
Oh God, that's so funny. Well, no, you know what though? It's funny because it's pretty funny because right before the show, she just started name dropping like my favorite bands, which is MXPX, my number one favorite band of all time. Did you know that was my number one favorite band of all time?
I know I didn't. You just mentioned Bremerton, and that's just immediately what I think of.
Like I legit have the Pokinacha Punk tattooed on my calf.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
no, like they're like the first punk band that I ever.
They're a really good one. I'm not surprised. I mean,
yeah, no, that was like that's what got me started. But like I don't know, like I guess like let's open up with music because like I'm excited to like talk about everything about you, but like
sure. Yeah.
where do you sit on the musical spectrum? What is your shit?
It's kind of tough. I mean, one of the first albums that I bought was a CD, back when you had to like literally save your pennies for like months to afford a $20 CD. Was I think I bought two. I bought Alanis Morissette and Rancid, Out Come the Wolves. So this was obviously the 90s.
Love that.
And yeah, I definitely was into punk pretty heavily when I was, preteen and teenager. And then I definitely got into the rave scene when I was, a little bit older and kind of early 20s, mid 20s. So then I liked electronic music, mostly drum and bass and liquid drum and bass and some crazy stuff that nobody likes, like happy hardcore and other hardcore type of things. But yeah, I'm pretty eclectic. I don't listen to music nearly as much as I used to. It's a very weird thing. I feel like, I don't know, it's hard. It's weird to say music fell off, but it's just sort of like what happened to like our obsession with music. I just remember it being such a major part of my life. And then suddenly I blame streaming, honestly. I blame, like, all these streaming services and making it just too
Yeah,
accessible and too easy and taking away, the magic behind it, and also, like,
definitely did
the
a
music
lot.
is
Yeah.
shit, and then also, like, all these bands now, like Green Day or whatever, they're all woke and annoying online, so that makes you just hate them, and you're just like, "I can't."
It's
So,
funny that we say, like, all these
so
bands these days, but all the bands these days are bands that have been around for, like, 30 years because we're still living.
Right. Well, yeah, but there's nothing else good. I mean, I
I
think with
know.
movies kind of, right? The only thing with movies
Yeah.
is remakes of old '80s movies and '90s movies. Those are the types of movies that they have, and it seems like it's the same with music. It's like, I mean, you look for concerts, you're like, "Okay, I don't know any of these people," and then you're like, "Oh, these people, they're coming into town, and it's like $500 or something," and whatever. I
Yes.
mean, like, Smashing Pumpkins is on tour with Green Day, and they're like, they just keep blasting me with emails to go to the show, and
Wait,
I'm
they're
I'm
touring with Green Day?
Mhm.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, it's
I'm not
weird,
even gonna
right?
lie to you. Yeah, that sounds like a
Yeah.
really bad and awkward lineup.
Yeah, I
Really
would say
weird.
Smashing Pumpkins and then leave. I mean, but I just wanna hear, like, 2 songs, honestly, like, the obvious ones, and then probably bounce, but it's just, yeah, it's weird. So, I would say, yeah, electronic music that probably nobody really knows and has heard of. A lot of alternative from the '90s, like pop punk too, and
Nice. Yeah.
that's about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, Justin in here kinda said, Heidi's a gay millennial, so emo is just part of the package, and that's
Yeah,
true. That's true.
you
It
had
kinda
to,
comes
I
in
mean,
there.
right? Yeah, what
Yeah,
else are you
like, it's
gonna.
a
You're
flexible.
sad, you're gay, you're like a teenager, and you're just like,
I know. I mean, especially, like, when you're a teen, like, I don't know, I don't know the story of, how, like, soon it was that you came out about all of this, but, I mean, I'm sure that that was, like, a experience too, and you had some emo moments there, and you probably cried to, some emo music
oh god,
at
all
some
I did
point.
was cry. I mean, when you're a teenager, that's like all you do. You, like, just wanna shut the door and, like, listen to sad music and just cry about stuff and, all the hormones pumping through you. So,
Yeah,
definitely, that was definitely a thing.
and you're in the Northwest, so that's, like, I believe you're from Oregon, correct?
No,
Or
I live
Washington.
in Portland now, but I'm from Orange County. I'm from SoCal. So,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
cool. So you, like, grew up with, like, Orange County punk rock
Yeah.
and, like,
Yeah.
Social
So I grew
Distortion
up,
and
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Yep.
Creatrix said, "Ooh, my kinda girl," in response to the EDM shit. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she likes that stuff. I think she said she used to pick up baddies at the drum and bass shows. That's
You
funny.
got to. That was, like, the
Yeah, that
best place to pick up girls because, like, most of the girls were bisexual or gay at, like, every single rave. I mean, there was no such thing as, like, a straight girl at any rave. It was just, like, she's either bisexual or she's gay, and then you just be like, "Well, does she have a boyfriend or not?" That was kinda, like, the only thing, and then other than that, you could hit on all the girls, and so it was great, and, yeah, it was, like, a really safe place, actually, if you were kind of like a gay young person, is to, like, go to these underground parties, and, like, everybody was so welcoming, and, and it was about the music instead of about whatever the hell else, instead of going to, like, a bar or,
I used
something
to,
else.
like, help put on events and stuff like that,
Mhm.
and I used to work at, like, EDM shows and stuff. I never caught the gay or the bi when I was there. Is that just, like, strictly, like, a female thing, or is it
Uh,
MDMA,
I
just
mean,
everyone's just, like, alive and feeling good?
it's more like, I don't think you catch it. I think it's just if you're gay, you're attracted to that kind of vibe because it's sort of like the underground and the weirdos, and,
Yeah.
that's
Sure,
just,
sure.
yeah, I think it's just that you get attracted to that, and I don't know, maybe you just wanna do drugs too, and I don't know.
Hey, and more power
Young
to
gay
you.
people like to do drugs. It's kind of a thing.
Yes, yes, it's true, and EDM shows are a great place to make that happen for sure.
Yes, yes. Just be like, "Have you seen
Um,
Molly? Have you seen her?"
yeah,
Back
yeah.
when that was, an underground thing to say before whatever, the pop stars got a hold of it, and I was like,
I'm sure
"Alright."
Molly's a nice girl. I think Mary Jane was a little bit nicer to me growing up, but, yeah, but, I mean, sure, Molly's a really nice girl. Um, um, I don't okay. Uh, Subversive says, Ben is the kind of straight guy who doesn't realize he's being hit on when guys keep saying buying him drinks at the gay
Actually, you
bar.
literally posted that, didn't you? Didn't you say that?
This literally
Exactly.
happens to
Okay.
me
That's like
all the
verbatim,
time.
right?
Yeah, like, yeah,
Like, I
like,
love gay bars. The guys are so nice.
yeah. No, Brandy can attest to this. It's so weird because, like, I actually went and just did karaoke. This was, like, a year ago. It was at this, like, really like, there's only, like, one karaoke place in all of Manchester, New Hampshire. It's a real shithole. But, like, it's like this little Chinese restaurant, and they just do,
Yeah.
like, almost 5 or 6 nights a week, they have karaoke, and it gets wild in there. And there's like, okay, there's some different shit going on with this place. Apparently this is where they do all the FetLife meetups, and I didn't even really know what FetLife was before the first time I went there, like a year ago. Like, that's how like out of the loop I am with that shit. But so the first night I went there apparently was like poly night, and
Oh, what?
yeah, and I was just like, people would just buy me drinks all night, and
You're like, I love this place. What the heck?
but
They were so
what's
friendly.
weird is I even though people were buying me drinks all night, I legit had 3 drinks. And, like, trust me, 3 drinks doesn't do it for me. Like, it doesn't matter how strong you pour it, 3 drinks isn't gonna do it for me.
It's
I
not
was
gonna turn you gay.
crawling to my
That's
car.
for
I ended
sure.
up getting roofied, uh,
Oh,
and
wow.
it was insane. And then, I went again. We actually me and Brandy went recently.
You're like, I'm
Wait,
going back.
I
That was a great night.
I went back with Brandy, and then there was, like, this, like, I don't know, it was, like, this, like BDSM night or something like that for all the FetLife people that met there. I was like, why are
And this is
all
a
these?
Chinese place? Like, what, this, like,
Yeah,
a Chinese family that, like,
yes,
lives
it's so
upstairs kind
weird.
of place where
Yeah, the
and they're
little
just
old
like,
Chinese man
"Okay,
at the
yeah,
front.
great. Like, give us your money, like, perverts, awesome." Like,
Yeah, no, that's exactly what happened. Like, we just walked in, there's this little old Chinese man at the front, and he's like, "Do you wanna sit or you do karaoke?" And I was like, "Okay," like, we're doing karaoke. And then we get back there, and, like, the whole room's just filled with, like, goths, like, all gothic people, and I was like, "What is going on tonight?" And people were, like, handing out wristbands in the back, and
"Am I
then we
gonna
had
get
one of our
roofied
friends come
again?"
out with
Or
us, and our friend is actually the one that told us, like, "Hey, this is actually, like, a FetLife meetup tonight." And I was like, "I don't know how he knew that," but, like, it's beside the point, I'm not judging. It was we still had a great time doing karaoke. I can do karaoke anywhere, so that's my shit.
No, I
Um,
saw your performance. It was really good. Yeah.
oh, that yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta do don't trust me when you're in Boston. You gotta spread a little misogyny when you're down there. They don't get
Yeah.
enough of it from their politicians, so
Is it misogynistic? I don't know. I guess I've never paid attention.
I mean, the chorus is "Don't trust a hoe." I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's good advice, but I mean, yeah, I
And,
mean, yeah.
do the Helen Keller and talk with your hips. I mean, there's some stuff in there for sure. Um, yeah, but anyways, so I guess, like, let's dive into you because, like, we've never even had, like, a real conversation. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to kinda get to know you a little bit. So, like, you kinda you started writing, like, a long time ago. Like, tell me a little bit about that side of you. You've, like, written articles and all kinds of stuff, like.
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved to write. I think the first time I wrote anything was a story about my dog when I was really young, and it was like a picture book, and my dog was going on all these adventures, and my uncle has always told me like, "Hey, you're a great writer. Like, whatever, you should write and buy me all these books on writing and stuff." And I'm just sort of like, "Yeah, whatever." But like it's really difficult. Like, I was just listening to somebody talk about writing and how weird it is because
Mm.
writing's one of the only art forms that I mean, I think at least that the artist actually kind of hates the actual art because most
I
writers are like, "God, writing it's so hard. Like I'm a writer, but like I can't get myself to write." You don't really hear that from
That's so
painters or
wild to
sculptors or
I
yeah.
think it's the same probably with, like, I mean, for me with music, I know a lot of
Okay.
musicians that have that problem too, actually. Like, they'll, like,
Okay.
write a song and, like, "I fucking hate this song," but it ends up being, like,
But
their
you
biggest
like
banger.
jamming though, right? You like the act
Oh,
of, like,
yeah,
doing it,
absolutely.
right? See, like, writing is like you hate writing. You actually, like, can't sit down and write, but you're like, "I'm a writer."
I'll be
That like,
honest,
you're
like,
like
there's a
like
bunch of, like, my old
yeah.
bands, like, the songs that were the most popular songs that I couldn't stand to sing. Like, they were just
That's
songs that I was like, "This
dude,
isn't gonna do anything."
it's
And
like every favorite song I have by every artist is that way. Like, I think Blue and Yellow, is one where they talk about how they don't like it, they don't like doing
yeah.
it or whatever,
I
but the
mean,
fans
Brendan
want it.
Urie, with,
Um
I Write Sin's Not Tragedy, he fucking hates that song. Like, he literally hates that song. He'll, kinda, like, as a parody, make weird faces and voices while he's singing it live, and, I mean, I know Ronnie Radke from Falling in Reverse does this too with a couple of their songs. Like, this is, like,
Yeah.
this is the thing.
Yeah,
The
it's
thing
kind
is
of,
that,
like,
like
different from me. It's sort of like I hate writing, but I like having written, you know? And even if I don't love, like, the piece of writing, I'm like, "That's okay," because like, I put myself out there and I transmuted, like, my thoughts, and other people can have that experience. I can, really relay what's in my head to somebody else. And so I love the art form. I mean, I have a Substack, it's HeidiBriones.com, and that's more like my political writings. I've done all kinds of other writing in the past. I mean, I have like a ebook. I think I wrote like one of the first ebooks that ever ever
mm,
existed ever.
wow.
But it's about teaching English in Taiwan. So that's more like a how-to, but that's there. It's like 99 cents. I would make it lower if I could. They allowed me to. It's the lowest I can go. But
I think
yeah.
that, like, with writing, and I think the reason this is, and,
Mhm.
originally, the intention is there. We wanna put something out there that we love, that we're enjoying, right? Because there's something about writing that you like, right? Like, it's not like it's a chore the whole time. But also, um, and I think maybe a little bit, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but a little bit maybe less with like, actual authorship and not, like, music. Whereas, like, with music, you know, when you put something out there, you're trying to like feed it to a specific brand of people, so you kind of have to
Mhm.
stay within a certain genre and stick within, like, is working and what they like. So there was, like, a lot of times where, at least with me musically, I'm all over the map. Like, I even rapped back in high school. I was a little gangbanger. People I was, like, actually, like, in a gang
You're at
for
a
I
gang.
was. Don't judge me. I know I'm the whitest guy on the block
Well,
now,
you
but
got out, so it's okay. Yeah.
yeah, I got out with my life. East side
Yeah.
oldies, yeah. But, anyway, so it's just weird because, we're feeding to, like, a specific niche of people, and, like, we're trying to, like, sell it to them, and we're putting stuff out there that we don't always love all the time, but like I said, like, I listen to pretty much every genre of music. Punk is my shit, but I've actually, like, written much less punk rock than any other genre of music that's actually out there in the wild. Like, I have stuff, like, in here that I could have, but, there's not a lot of it out there. And I'm sure with writing, it's kind of the same. Like, you're kind of like, what you're writing about. You're trying to, like, gauge the audience, right? And you're trying to, like, give them something that's, like, relatable. So that
Yeah.
I'm sure that has, like, a potential to actually influence the writing in some ways too. Just like it does with music. I don't know.
Yeah. No, a bit. I mean, it depends on what type of writing you're doing for sure. I mean, I've done everything from, writing marketing content to like sales emails to, political writings to whatever shit posting to all, I've done like the whole gamut. And it definitely depends. I mean, when you're trying to write for a larger audience, you have to dumb things way down that may feel like really uncomfortable. And that's
Mm,
one thing that I think writers often struggle with is, typically writers have pretty decent vocabularies and are well read and well
yeah,
experienced and want to convey these deep thoughts, but everybody's shallow. And so you have to
it's
break it
true.
down, so basic and so easy to the point where you're like, this is stupid. Like, this is like, this I can't believe I'm gonna put this out there, but if it's that important to you to get the message across, then you do, and I think that's definitely a struggle with writing for online audiences. I mean, things have to be at a 5th grade level or below now, they say, for it to be even relatable at all to
Yeah.
most people.
Well,
So that could be
Subversive
tough.
just dropped in the chat. He basically
Mhm.
said, writing is one of those avenues that, like, run the risk of insanely high commitment and excitement for very little reward. He
Yeah.
wrote Amazon bestseller, and even after getting bestseller numbers, it didn't really make him any money.
Yeah.
And that's true. I mean, that's actually like that's
That's
very
the
true with
artist dilemma, right? I mean,
true with
I think
music. It's true with I think most
most
types of
art, I think.
creation anymore. At least there used to be a time when you could actually make money on music, and that's just not it's not there anymore. But
Yeah, you have to do it for something beyond the money for sure with, any type of art, I think. I think that, you either have to just enjoy it and love it so much, like, there's those types of artists that are just like, "I'm just going to do this anyway, and I literally
mm,
don't care if anyone ever sees it, looks at it, buys it, whatever. I'm just gonna be prolific and just put out all kinds of stuff." And then there's other people that have a specific purpose. Like it could be to change the culture, which is why I write a lot of things, or to offer my perspective on an experience I had. Like that's kind of one example, or legacy. Like you just want to write your story so that whatever, if something happens, when something happens, when you're no longer here, it's there and it's out
yeah,
there. And whether people like it now or not is irrelevant, because it just feels good for you to have gotten it out, and you know that it's there, for the future. So there's so many different reasons why somebody could write. And I think, I mean, that could be why it's, depressing, because it's like if it's your career, that can be, yeah, that definitely can be depressing, because yeah, if you have to make money off your writing, that sounds terrible to me. Like I prefer to have
yeah.
a different job that's just something else that I can hate and be like,
If it gets to
whatever.
that point, like, I
Yeah.
do see it actually becoming, like, something people just don't enjoy anymore. Like, the time
Yeah.
that it becomes, actual work, that this is, like, your only way to make money, like, it that can, at that point, really ruin everything, like, for a lot
Yeah.
of people. This happens all the time with music, because
Oh, with
people love to
musicians all
write
the time.
music,
Yeah.
and they love to tour until
Yeah.
they're touring for 10 months out of the year and only get 1 or 2 months to fulfill their obligations outside of that, touring schedule to
Yeah.
fill their album commitments with their label. They're literally working like nonstop all the time, and it really takes the fun out of it really quick, especially when you're like living such like like a
Just a
dangerously
crazy
toxic
life.
lifestyle sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, it's
It's
not.
easy to get, yeah, like, wrapped up in drugs and all that stuff?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and then Jilted Valkyrie says it's a grind. You have to be consistent for the algorithm to notice you. That's true as well.
Yeah, writing on social media, that's a whole different ball game. That's,
You've
yeah,
kinda perfected that though. Like, you're actually making some money on Twitter,
a little bit,
and,
yeah, like, a couple $100 every couple weeks. I mean, shoot, for just hanging out on X is pretty good. Not bad.
yeah, for just
I'd like
shooting the
to.
shit. And I mean, I enjoy your content. I mean, I think that's how we originally got, interacted or whatever. But, so, like, your writings are kinda all over the map. You like you said, do some political stuff, you try to influence the culture in some ways. And that's kinda like what my goal is too with music as well, because I think that, like, that's the best way. I know you've heard me say it
Oh,
before,
yeah.
but that's the best way to influence
I agree.
the
Yeah.
world is in the culture is through art and through creation. And that's happens through independent writers, it happens through music, it happens through actual, like, physical artists. And that's just, in my opinion, that's the way to go. So tell me, like, in
Mhm.
what ways do you, like, try to contribute to that with your own writing?
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know, like, I guess we can go down that rabbit hole too of the politics too. But
Sure. I mean, obviously I'm, lesbian AF, it's like
lesbian as
as the
fuck.
title says. So so that's one area that I try to influence the culture. I think some of my most viral tweets are, you know, I mean, maybe ones that I wouldn't want to go that viral, but like have been, liked by Elon and stuff like that, are very personal tweets about being like a lesbian and seeing, the LGBTQ mafia kind of cult twist and turn, and, become something that I consider just perverse, and I don't want my name associated with, in some aspects. So, the loss of female rights and same, sex-based rights, those types of things, that I have a unique perspective on. So that's what I love to share the most, and that tends to be what gets me the most attention. I don't want to do it constantly because it's exhausting, but It would exhaust my audience for one, or my followers. So I have to keep it light, but it would also exhaust me to be, just going that deep all the time on my, experience. But I think that that's one area that people seem to want to hear more about. They always ask me whatever, these like weird lesbian questions, and some of them are just like just awful. Like, but some of them are like, hey, people really don't know this. And so that's kind of one avenue that I think I've, narrowed down to where like there are other lesbian creators, but I don't think any are as like willing to like answer these questions as I am and like go back and forth and really like get into it. So people do like that because they see me as a resource. If they want to ask something very weird or specific, like I don't really turn them away.
Well, I like that. I think that's a
yeah.
great outlet because, like, I think a lot of people need to have someone ask those questions too. And I think you're very approachable with that. You're very responsive on social media. For me, I think that it's really like, so I agree with you 100%. By the way, that like if you're a male, you can't be a feminist. I just don't think it's possible
No,
or at all. So
no.
I agree with you. But I also think that like being like a humanist or an individualist and me wanting females to have
Mhm.
rights for themselves doesn't
That's
make me a
really cool.
feminist. And I just
No,
don't know why people have to say like if you want women to have certain rights that like, that makes you a feminist or that puts you in the
no,
same camp as all these feminists. And then their definition of feminism, even that is like completely misconstrued because like I have studied feminism
yeah,
quite a bit and like I'm very aware about the different waves of
yeah,
feminism and all that and like it's there's so many different levels to this like
yeah. It's very complex, but it's always very surface. Obviously it's online and people just get like these surface things. And I think one of the worst things that happened was, sort of the third wave where it was like men can be
Mm,
feminists too, and men and women are equal. And it's like that was kind of a new concept that really came out of postmodernism, more than feminism, because men and women are not equal, like human beings are equal as humans, but men and women
I don't even
have
agree with that. I actually don't even agree with that. I think that
yeah.
like I'm not even I say this all the time, but I'm not equal to the person I was yesterday. So I don't
Mhm.
even think equality is like an approachable or realistic
Right,
thing for
right.
everybody. In
Yeah,
terms of like, do I want everyone to have the same rights? Absolutely. There's equality there in my eyes. I just,
sure. Just we're
like
humans. Like
yeah.
we exist and we're a human being, and there's certain things that are equal about us just physically, that we are humans. But as far as rights go, and as far as those types of protections, I think that men have certain areas where they need particular rights, to do things as, either just only men because it makes the most sense. You don't you can't have women, there for safety reasons or otherwise. Like you just want to have single sex spaces,
Yeah.
or just privacy. In general, you just want to have that privacy with, the same sex. So I think that saying that men and women are the same is feminism. I think that that's really harmful and weird and odd. And then it made it wide open for men to be like, well, I'm a feminist then because I agree with that. Men and women are equal. And it's like, okay, but men and women are very different. And like we've known this up until very, very
Mhm.
recently. And we've, been
Yeah.
aware of it. And now we're suddenly, let's just not be aware of that. Let's just be like, it's all about how you come across, how you dress, how you want to be perceived, how you identify. Okay, but none of those are necessarily physical, biological realities. Like
Yeah.
we can't
And
just let go of that. Yeah,
I agree. It's kind of like it's in the same boat, like you said, as like them adding all these different letters to LGBT. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
like
that's disturbing.
having
Yeah,
like non-binary and all this other like just random words
yeah.
to make just to validate people.
Asexual is really funny to me because I'm like,
That's wild, yeah. Like, but
okay,
it's
like,
just like
I'm
we just have to literally validate everyone. Like how can we just like go back to just being fucking human? Like,
yeah,
goddamn.
it's really bizarre because I actually miss, this is weird, but I like miss when gay people had less rights and acceptance in a lot of ways because we had this cool underground culture. I'm sure you can relate to that with
Mm,
music and,
yeah.
punk and stuff. Like when, once things get mainstream, it's kind of like, oh God, this is really cringe now. And like, please, like, can we go back to like when it was just like this underground thing that nobody really knew about? And it was, our special thing. And it was
And
like,
what
yeah.
like arrow, like what
Mhm.
year would you say that you started noticing like a shift in that?
I
You would
feel
have been way more tuned in than I was at that time.
Okay, so Prop 8 passing in California, was a huge turning point. If you guys don't know, Prop 8 defined marriage as between a man and a woman, and this happened in the state of California, and it was voted on. And then that Proposition 8 went all the way up to the courts, to the Supreme Court, and then was ruled, that same-sex marriage was under equal protection. So, it was the law of the land then. But I think that around that time, so I want to say that was that 2010, 12, something, I don't know, something around there. There was a cultural shift, I think, around 2010 to 2015 when the Supreme Court actually ruled on it. So sometime during that time,
I
everything started shifting.
So I was in the military in 2011, 2012.
Mhm.
And like I was gonna say like I started noticing like a difference and a change happening right before that. So like I
What
would have
year?
said
What
probably
years were
around
you?
2010. I was
Okay,
in
yeah.
2011 and 2012.
Okay, yeah.
Um,
It was right
and
around then. It was weird. It
yeah,
was like, yeah, like the early 2000s, late 2000s even. I think was the height, just like the height of being gay, and I'm just glad I was like, over 21, but not too old. I was in
so
like the
I'm
perfect
not
age
like
during that time.
in the community per se, but like my little brother's gay. And so like, that was about the same time too, that same year, when he came out and, all we had like mass fallout. My family was like, I was raised like a fundamental Baptist. So you can only imagine how
Oh,
that was
wow.
received. Wasn't the smoothest transition to say the least.
Aw.
But I absolutely love my brother. I think my whole family loves my brother. And I think I was at that point, up to that point. I had like, friends that were gay and stuff, but I also like didn't really it wasn't really like I didn't have to deal with any of the stuff. Like I wasn't like oppressed or anything. Like, what I mean? 'Cause I have a gay friend, like, no one cares.
Yeah.
But like I think I started to realize, like, some of the shit that my brother was going through. Like this is a reality and a fact for a lot of people. And
Yeah.
it started like I think like kind of just like making me like I don't know, breaking down this wall that like I pretended like it just didn't exist. I pretended like everybody was just human and everyone just treated each other like humans. And then like shit like that happened and you're just like that's just not true. Like people just
Yeah.
have these like moral objectives that they want to force on people no matter what it is.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, that it happens on both sides of the aisle here
Oh, it
too,
does.
right? Because like,
Yeah.
then you'll see people that are just completely flamboyant about it that are like everything has to be gay, right? Like if
Yeah.
everything's not gay, then I am oppressed. You know what I
Right,
mean?
and that's pretty cringe too, and yeah, and it's gone too far, that's for sure, because back in the day, gay people just wanted to be like, "Hey, I just want there to be a gay bar that I can go to and to, like, not get beat up," and, like, that would be
Yeah.
cool, like, but, like,
I mean, I used to
like,
go to this, like, gay
yeah.
nightclub in Denver called Trax where you could, like there were, like, some nights where you could, like, go rollerblade and stuff, and I would just go out and do that, and it was not like, it wasn't even like I'll be completely honest, I got hit on by straight MILFs way more than I did dudes. So, like, that's just true. I think that, like, being, like, a straight guy at a gay bar, like, I think people probably just think you're safe at that point. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but
Forbidden fruit, but yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
probably.
but not like not a slam dunk. I mean, if you go out to a gay club, you gotta realize they're probably looking for a slam dunk. They're not really looking for like a, "Yeah, let me groom this straight guy for like a year until like he like lets me
I
touch
would
his
get offered
penis," or something
drinks,
like
sure, but, like, I'm
that's
telling
like
you,
a
like,
long
those
game, That's too long of a game for them that night.
I think there was probably more like 40 to 50-year-old straight women that were hitting on me than there were gay
Just
dudes, which is
yeah, all
wild. I
the
was also, like, pretty young when that was happening, like, really early 20s. Um, like, looked even goofier than I do now. But, I don't know. Yeah, that's just how it was. But I think that, like, it is important to, make that you know, distinction, that like, everybody has this as part of their ideologies. Libertarians for sure do. Like everything that like, and every kind of movement has people like that will try to like force their shit on you. And it's
Oh yeah.
obviously very not libertarian for libertarians to do that. Um, but like, it really is like everyone has to have like a one size fits all thing. And I'm an anarchist, so I'm not utopian. I don't believe that it's possible to have a perfect world. I'm not stupid. I think that like everyone just has to fucking get along, and the only way we're gonna do that is if we just kind of like have conversations and treat people like actual humans, and not let these um differences in opinion or moral objective get in between the way of us and in pursuing liberty. That's, in my opinion, one of the biggest downfalls with the Libertarian Party right now, is that like we're letting all this infighting hold us back when we really all want freedom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we
Yeah.
fight over the stupidest shit. It's
That's
so
tough.
annoying.
That's tough. I think infighting is always going to be a thing because anytime a tribe gets past a certain size, right? Then
Mhm.
you're basically inviting other opinions and other perspectives, and this happens in every single movement in history. Is that it might start off with everybody's, yeah, we all think the same thing, but we got to recruit more people, right? Like we can't
Yeah,
just have like us five, like that's not going to work. And then so you start recruiting, and then suddenly everybody has, a different opinion, different viewpoint, and then you're like, wait, this is not what I originally wanted this to be. So I think that
yeah,
that's just a problem with humans, is that we you know, we have conflicting desires, I guess, because there is something deeply human about us wanting to be individuals, of course, but then there's also like the collectivist side that we can't just ignore and pretend that like, we don't want to have groups, or we don't want to, impress people in our groups, or we don't want to not get shamed or kicked out, of the group that we're in. Those are
yeah,
all real things that,
yeah,
exist. And some cultures have more of one side than the other. There's definitely more collectivist cultures, especially the East, and more individualistic in the West. So that's something that we have to deal with. And, the liberty movement in the West is obviously going to have a lot of infighting since we're so deeply individual. And
yeah.
we all are going to have our own opinions, and we're all going to want to fight about it and talk about it and free speech and blah, blah, blah. Whereas if there were a liberty movement in the East, it might just be more simple. They might just be like, yeah, we all agree on this one issue. Okay, let's just like do it. And
Just
like
like
we won't
roll
talk
with
about
it.
anything else, and we'll just like do this one thing. And I think that's interesting because I know like the Mises Caucus and Angela McArdle and stuff is very interested in like these one issues, these single issue fights. Like, let's just talk about war. Let's just be like anti-war, and then we'll just work with anybody. We don't care. Oh, you're a socialist, cool, but are you anti-war? Okay, you can come and work with us on this thing. And so I think it's interesting to see how the liberty movement kind of evolves in the West. Like maybe we do need to just be more single issue and just work on these issues and kind of push things in a certain direction. Maybe it's not going to be, oh, our party's going to ever even hit 5%. I don't even know, but but maybe that's
Right? It's
not
not
like the
happening
way.
this
Maybe
year.
that doesn't make sense here because we're
It's not
not,
happening this year.
yeah,
I don't think
definitely
we'll get
not. I mean,
maybe
yeah.
0.5%.
I mean, unless we were willing to, give up our principles, which, you can't when you're the party of principles. So that's just
Right.
how it
Well,
is,
last time we did that, we got 4%, right? So
Right,
so
right.
what
So
was on there? And,
four
I'll
point seven.
I'll say this too, like, like, I think that, like, I guess I do very much so, as individuals and as, like, someone who wants everyone to have their own opinions and their rights, like, I think that, like, just in the same way that, like, in Christianity, Christians are the worst part of it. Um, you know, uh, like, with libertarianism, there's some shitty libertarians out there, and they really do like put like a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths because of their
Yeah.
shitty opinions, but there's nothing we can do about that. The only thing you can
No.
do is be a louder voice, right? Like at that point, like,
Yeah, that's
it
all you can do. But then it sort of becomes that same problem. It's like, do you want to recruit? How many people do you want to recruit? Because at some point it's going to dilute, your message or your principles. So it's a catch-22. It's like, yeah, we want more people in the liberty movement, but at what cost? Do we have to give up our
yeah.
principles? And like at some point, probably, because it's like people are not going to agree, and it's going to get diluted.
And this conversation obviously kind of like naturally took ourselves into the politics a little bit here, but I like, when did you first like when did you become like a libertarian? When did you start calling yourself a libertarian or be a part of the liberty movement? Because I'm assuming this is an assumption, but I'm assuming you started on the left side of the
Yeah.
spectrum.
Yeah. I've been on the left up until pretty much COVID. I mean, I've mostly been more like kind of an independent lefty, and sometimes I would side with the Democrats depending on what was going on. Never been a Republican. Was never a registered libertarian, but I always considered myself libertarian just philosophically, on certain issues for sure. And then COVID kind of just pushed me all the way. I first I just left the Democratic Party after I lost my election in 2020 when I ran as a Democrat. There's
What
so many
position were
different
you running
things.
for?
House of Representatives.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. So that was fun. And I mean, yeah, it was interesting. I did most of my campaigning online because it was literally at the peak of COVID. 2020, March, April, May. So about as wild as it gets, and we couldn't really go out and do a lot of stuff, especially in Oregon, Portland. But yeah, so after that though, I just realized that I was like caught up in this cult. And when a lot of things happened, but basically when I just realized that the left had gone authoritarian. And when I grew up, I always considered the left more libertarian than Republicans, and the right at least. And that was my perception of it. Like the Republicans were authoritarian.
And
And
was that more on because of the anti-war stuff, would you say? And
also the gay stuff. I mean, that's
yeah.
if
And
you're a young gay
I'd probably
person,
agree with
yeah.
you there. Yeah, I'd probably
Yeah, there was like the evangelical strain, and then also in the Bush years were super authoritarian, the Patriot Act and all the wars, and like that shit was nuts. And I was definitely a leftist during college. I was part of Students Against War. We had some pretty impactful protests during that time against the Iraq War. And I started an ACLU back when they were actual libertarian organizations. This was early 2000s, but I started an ACLU chapter back then. So I kind of always considered myself like a civil libertarian, or maybe even a left libertarian, whatever you want to say about that. But that's just kind of where I saw myself philosophically. But then, during COVID, I was like, you know what? I can't associate with the Democrats anymore because they're willing to strip people of their liberties, and they're also willing to support someone like Joe Biden, who goes against just everything that we should want in a leader or a president, of just to basically dunk on Trump or just to say no to Trump. And they just completely lost it. To me, it's just like they've completely lost it. So I left the Democratic Party, and then last year I registered as a libertarian, and got a little bit involved with the local party in Multnomah County here in Portland.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. You see that post Joe Biden made today?
Or like yesterday with the
like
guys?
how we planned it all along or some shit like that with the
Yeah, was that about that was about the what was it, the getting the hostages back?
I thought it was about the Super Bowl. I'm just kidding.
I thought it was
No, it
'cause,
was.
like,
Yeah,
okay, I
it
thought it
was.
was okay.
Yeah, no, like everyone's like saying like there's a psyop with the Super Bowl too. I know you were watching the show last night with Toad dying with the eating the chip, and
that was pretty funny.
he
Yeah,
tried to
like,
explain how the Super Bowl was a psyop, and Taylor Swift and the NFL and Usher, they're all in on it.
Honestly, it felt that way. Like it was like this boring long game where you're like, is something gonna happen? Like, so it felt really controlled. It honestly felt that way. It
He
felt
said they're trying to sell like the Fauci ouchies too, because I know Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. I mean, Taylor Swift she's a riding for Biden gal, and Kelce would post pictures with his little Band-Aid from his shots.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, he's I used to get ads with him all the time for Pfizer. I always like see ads for him on anywhere, like YouTube.
I don't know why. Like, I actually didn't even
whatever.
realize that it was like that. I never saw that side of him. For some reason, I guess he was more of a conservative dude, probably because he wears red all the time. But it is what it is.
The team's colors.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It is.
He kind of, yeah, I don't know. I don't really think about him too much, to be honest. But yeah,
I don't think about him at all.
Yeah, But I wouldn't be surprised if he's like whatever, Kaepernick liberal or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he was woke and then dating, Taylor. Seems like he
Yeah.
is. But I think he's just kind of sold his soul. That's kind of more the vibe I get. Same with Taylor Swift. But they just kind of, find their name in blood at some point and sold their soul, and they don't care. They're like, whatever. Like how Ice Spice is hanging out with Taylor Swift,
Yeah.
in the box. And I'm like, these bitches have nothing in common. Like, I mean,
Right.
honestly, like, and it seems like a psyop. It seems like, oh yeah, my agent called me and said you should hang out with Ice Spice because she's up and coming, and let her go with you or whatever, be friends with her. Like, okay.
Yeah.
It all just seems very contrived, and I mean, seems fake.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a psyop, then it was a shitty psyop, and Toad got the losing end of it. So, is what it is. I don't know. I don't see the
I
feds
was
working
rooting for
against.
49ers, but that's me.
Honestly, like I was so uninvested in the game, other than the fact I had a bet that was like,
Well, they're an underdog. I mean, I don't know. I go for the underdog. So, I mean,
yeah. I mean, yeah, they were. I mean, I like the story there, but I was like, I've also studied football for a long time, and this year is one of the first years I've been like pretty disconnected from the NFL. It's part of it because of like its political side that it's taken
yeah.
down, but also because like my team fucking sucks. So
My team doesn't even exist anymore, so I just like the Washington Redskins. So,
who was your team? Oh God, you just
yeah.
said the Redskins? They're not
Mhm.
even. Oh,
Yep. Mhm.
so you're not a Commanders fan? Is what you're saying?
I
Mm.
couldn't do that. I mean, it's already tough enough to be a
Well, I'm glad
Redskins
that the
fan. I mean,
Redskins lost a fan because I'm a Giants fan. So,
okay, okay,
yeah.
fair. My family were Cowboys fans, so that's why I was a Redskin
Oh, yeah. So
fan.
you were
Just
just being rebellious,
yep. Mhm.
typical rebellious. Heidi
That's my
Briones.
style. That's my
Yeah,
style.
just counter flow in every
Oh,
direction
that's what you
there.
guys like? I like the opposite of that. What's the opposite? Oh, okay. What's the opposite of the Cowboys? Definitely the Redskins. Okay, I'm in.
Yes, nice. Um, so like I guess like when with all this stuff that's happened over the last couple years, obviously kind of like really brought out this side of you where you got more involved with the LP. And um there's other stuff that happened over the last couple years that weren't related to the COVID shot at all either.
Yeah.
Obviously we had riots in the streets a couple years ago that
Oh,
everyone
yeah.
seems to already forget.
I didn't
But
forget because being in
the,
Portland, a lot of it happened here. But yeah.
yes, right. And that, I mean, I guess it's kind of where I was getting at is like, um, speaking of identity politics, you know what I mean? Like, I think that like, um, championing like these type of ideas that like something like isn't so a lot of this stuff is obviously like controlled and manipulated by the corporate press. There's no question about it. Like they're telling you that you're oppressed, right? And that's really a lot of the shit that sparked the protests over the last couple of years. The corporate press was just telling everybody that we're so severely oppressed. I'm not saying that shit doesn't exist. That's not something that I would say. I'm just saying like this
Yeah.
was largely a something that was like given by a narrative that was provided by the media that
Sure.
really radicalized people and made people go out and we saw like riots in the streets and protests that were like tens of thousands of people, just a couple of years ago.
Sure. We'll see more
In the name
too.
of
So probably
BLM or
this
whatever.
year. Yeah.
But and I think that like the more independent journalism that we have in those times, the easier it will be for us to break free. And I think that one positive that came out of the last couple of years, if there was any, was that there's been more independent journalism,
Yep.
less trust in the media, less trust in the government. So the combination of those three things, I think it gives opportunities for people like you who, you obviously are trying to help promote a positive culture and not be destructive with what you're doing. I absolutely appreciate that about what you're doing and all your work, and you do it from a political side as well. Because like going forward, this is what we need to do. This is what we
Yeah.
need to do. Like we have more podcasts than ever before in the world. We have more people that are writing that are being, like you said, you're making money on Twitter. You're a
That's
journalist
pretty
essentially.
amazing. I
It's
mean, yeah, I don't consider myself a journalist, but, it's cool. It's cool
you're
to
paid media. That's what you are at this
I
point. If you think about
mean,
it, it's social media, but it's still media.
sort of. It's just like being monetized on YouTube. I mean, if you're yeah, I mean, I guess you're just earning a little chunk of the ads because you're
Yeah.
creating content. If you're creating that much content, like, whatever Elon was like, "Hey, let's open this up. Let's like, make sure these content creators are getting paid because then they'll stick
Mhm.
around because what's stopping me from going to TikTok or Instagram or YouTube or somewhere else, Rumble, whatever it is, if if they're not going to pay you. I mean, if there's no monetization, which there was no way to monetize your Twitter account or your X. That was like the main problem why journalists kind of just ran the whole thing because it became just like a blue check mafia thing with just like, this
Yeah.
is just like where we give the right information. And now that they've all left, it's like, well, it just really opens it up for creators to put out whatever they want and, be able to earn a little bit for doing it.
Yes. And, so, like,
Yeah,
would you
like.
say that like and subscribe for sure. Yeah. Give us all the likes. Um, but, is your primary focus right now more on, like, Substack? Or, like, are you doing any other, like, writing on the side or, like, what all you got going on right now?
Yeah. You know, Primarily, I don't have a lot of focus right now, so my focus is unfocused, for a lot of reasons, but, um, essentially, I have my Substack where I maybe put out, my goal is to put out 2 a month, and it's been a bit, so usually it's probably averaging, like, one a month, and then just, do a lot of content on X because it's fun and it's funny and I can make jokes and bring people in, so I try to I pulled people and I did all kinds of different things, to figure out what people wanted from my Twitter account back when it was still Twitter, I can say that, and everybody just wanted to laugh, I mean, was what it came down to, like, everybody just kept saying they wanted funny stuff, and I was like, "Okay." So, I try to keep it like 80/20, like, I can keep it like 80% funny, and then I dropped in some serious stuff every now and again, or, mix it up, but my goal is to just, keep people laughing, keep people entertained, keep people having fun, and if anybody's, like, ruining that, then they gotta go because I just have a strict moderation policy.
Yeah.
I've blocked and unblocked a lot of people over the years, but what it comes down to is I want people to enjoy, when they see my stuff come up, and that's what it comes down to for now. But I certainly am trying to push some people towards my Substack. I have more serious long form writing on there, which I'll write about things like generational theory, Portland, for example, just things going on in Portland, or I have an article called "The Dream of the '90s Died in Portland," which is fun. And then I'll write about liberty topics as well, that are more focused. Like I wrote about the Restrict Act and banning TikTok and those types of things. So if an issue comes up, that I'm just interested in, I'll try to put something out from my perspective on it. So like Substack is a nice place for people to keep in touch with me, but if they want to interact with me, it's always going to be on X, and it's just going to be the main way until it's not. But so far, seems to be working out to me. I feel like the algorithm rewards me. I feel like I have the boosting that I want. I know a lot of people complain, but like I feel like I don't know. I don't know if somebody likes me. I don't know if Elon likes me or something, but like I feel like I'm doing pretty well. Like I
You're
mean,
doing good. Yeah.
so it's just yeah, it's really about connecting with people, and we'll just see where it takes me. My main thing is to always just be authentic and just go with how I'm feeling at the moment. So sometimes I might focus on like feminist crazy stuff for like, a while. Sometimes I might just talk about lesbian stuff. Sometimes I might whatever, talk about just jokes and midgets and whatever the heck. And then I'll just keep going because I don't care because they reward me the most when I'm the most authentic. So I'm like, well, it kind of just goes with who I am. Every other platform really that I've been on is like, I'm not rewarded in the same way. Like for being my true self and just talking about what I want to talk about or creating what I want to create. It's a lot slower. It's a lot more like you have to talk about what's trending or what's going on here. And I do a little bit of that, but mostly it's like this is just shooting from the hip and just going by my reaction to things. And so I
Yeah.
do have a YouTube though. I tend to do like reactions to stuff, like the debate reactions are really fun. So we don't have any debates now, but if there was actual debates going on, if these candidates wanted to debate, I'd be reacting to them. Or, you know, when they start doing speeches or whatever else happens through the election, I love doing that kind of stuff. And that tends to work out really well. So we'll see. But yeah, really just, yeah, follow me on X if you want to interact. That's where I am most of the time.
Yeah, tell everyone where they can find you. We're wrapping up on the
Yeah.
hour, but I've appreciated the conversation. Like you're awesome. I love the dimples. I told you that it's the best smile in the world.
Thank
So
you.
I'm so glad
Aw.
that you're able to come on the show and talk with me. And I'll definitely have you on again sometime. This is a good fun time. So
Yeah, of course. So thanks everybody. I have been watching the chat. So thanks everybody for being in here. But yeah, you can go to Heidi Briones on X. You can go there anywhere else too. YouTube, Rumble, it's all the same. You can just search for Heidi Briones. That's my tag. Please do follow me everywhere, and it's HeidiBriones.com is my Substack. And yeah, that's pretty much all I've got going right now, but we'll see. All right.
awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks. I will put you backstage real quick. I'll wrap up
Cool.
the show. We'll talk in a second.
All
And
right.
yeah.
Bye, everybody.
See
Thank
ya.
you.
All right, guys. Thanks again for tuning in tonight. I appreciate the hell out of all of you guys. So please wish me luck with my surgery on Wednesday. I have a couple pre-recorded episodes that I'm going to try to drop over the next, I don't know, week or so, just to get me by until I'm able to physically get back into here and not feel horrible and not be completely drugged out of my mind. But you know, we'll go from there and hopefully enjoy it. I have a couple like music video reviews to drop. I also have new co-host that will be in and out from time to time that I have to introduce to you, that we did like a solo episode, just me and this other person. So that'll be great. And I think you guys are really gonna like it. So before we wrap up, I'm going to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, which is Blood of Tyrants Wine, the official spirit of 1776. Are you looking for a nice night in while sipping on the blood of your enemies and supporting the destruction of the tyrannical state? Look no further than Blood of Tyrants Wine, a nice Merlot distributed by activists you know and love. Blood of Tyrants.wine is the place to go. Use promo code FSM to get 10% off your first order. That's bloodoftyrants.wine, or click the link in the description below and use promo code FSM. Thank you guys again so much for being here tonight. I appreciate the hell out of all you guys. The chat was lit. Heidi's awesome, and I hope to see you guys again real soon. All right, y'all have a good night.